Well, we are getting a little closer for this Calgary sports fan to maybe have actual games to talk about and to speculate instead of speculating on return to play plans or what could be happening here in the future here. But when it comes to the Calgary Stampeders and also the Calgary Flames here, that they are given clearance to start practicing or at least training in their facilities here on a limited basis here. As this past week, the NHL started their phase 2 when it comes to their return to play plan here, and actually a few players, and actually as I know, the Calgary Flames have started playing or just doing their twirls on the ice in groups right at the Scotiabank Saddledome, including Captain Mark Giordano here, and understandably he's definitely excited on the fact that we are progressing here. And then when it comes to the Calgary Stampeders here, as of this recording, should have had the home opener by now here to start off the 75th anniversary season here, but given what's been going on with the global pandemic with COVID-19 or coronavirus here, that I think the earliest that the CFL could come back won't be until September here, and there's definitely some uncertainty and seems to be a stalemate when it comes to CFL here. But at least players, when deemed safe, were able to go to McMahon Stadium and start training to maybe start preparing for a 2020 season that hopefully we will have here, and maybe still somewhat celebrate a 75th anniversary season here. But at least there's progress that we're starting to hear players with our associated teams, the Calgary Flames and the Calgary Stampeders, are at least going to be starting to at least get closer to the actual game surface that they play their respective games in. So what do you think of what it is, what we have developing here? Do you think they'll actually be, the NHL is definitely concrete in their plans here, that what we're hearing is that the full training camp, they're still set on July 10th for the training camp to start here. And I know the Flames also did ponder about having said training camp in the U.S. here due to the border restriction with the Canada-U.S. border closure there. And there's word on it that they might extend it beyond June 21st till the end of July here. And part of I did see there's actually a quarantine act that is the reason why, let's say, if you're in the States here and, we had players for both teams, the Flames and the Stampeders here, where they disperse elsewhere in other countries for their home there, that they would need to subject to 14 days quarantine before actually returning to, training here. And this is still all voluntarily here when it comes to both the Flames and Stampeders here, but it's at least still encouraging to hear that there is, plans that we're still going to get closer towards actual games here. I'm still more concrete that the NHL, I think, is still going to happen here as long as it's deemed safe and there's no outbreak here. And then when it comes to the NHL here, we're hearing that possibly, it's not official yet, but it seems to be gaining more steam, that Vegas could be one of the hub cities for the NHL here, and then out east. I still don't think it's going to have to be, has to be the west side of the continent or the east side of the continent here. But I know Vancouver definitely officially submitted to bid and pressing to be a hub city here, but then it's that quarantine thing that makes it trickier, where I think if Vegas indeed becomes one of the hub cities here, then I think both hub cities will be in the U.S. when it comes to the NHL here. You keep hearing Pittsburgh or Columbus as the possible scenario for I guess that would be the East Hub here. And then the CFL here, I'm not too sure about, you're hearing a lot of conflicting reports here that you're hearing that players are starting to get a little, impatient with the league here. As apparently you hear stories that the league hasn't been as transparent or upfront with the players here. I know that I made a few videos where I talked about the commissioner, Randy Brogy, was seeking government intervention and government assistance here to potentially prop up the league here. And I know he had his case with the federal government here and trying to get some funding here, because the CFL is definitely a gate-driven league here, and definitely gets tricky on how they're going to make up some revenue here if, us fans aren't allowed to go to the game here. And you also hear potential ideas that the CFL may do a hub city model too, and I keep hearing Regina and Winnipeg as potential hub cities for hosting games here, because those parts of the country hasn't had as many cases with the compared to, I know the bulk of the cases in Canada have occurred in Ontario, Quebec here, but that also kind of makes sense given the concentration of the population here. But things have definitely gotten better here in Alberta, and especially in Calgary here. But you got to remember here that actually just recently the city of Calgary lifted their state of emergency, as it was in place for almost 3 months. Put it in perspective here, when those floods happened in 2013, Calgary was officially in a state of emergency for only 2 weeks. So definitely a much longer period of time here, but I made a few videos where I talked about that, because it ultimately tied down to the Calgary Stampede being cancelled, that all events and gatherings are banned in the city of Calgary until the end of August here. So that's why I still think the earliest, and even then the CFL is definitely staying in line that they're thinking that if there is going to be a season, we don't know about number of games or hub cities yet, but they're saying the earliest will not be until September here, and my confidence is still much lower than 50%. I have those confidence pick. I'm picking this is who I think will win with my percent confidence here. My confidence is definitely less than 50% that I'll actually be going to McMahon Stadium to catch games here, but that remains to be seen, especially, if there's an effective treatment or a vaccine, and there's lots of information or misinformation out there on where we are in that here, but it's definitely still encouraging that we're hearing Flames players hitting the ice here. The NHL still has their plan about their return to play plan. We're in phase 2. We're also in phase 2 when it comes to reopening things in Alberta, as now more businesses going to be open here. That soon you can actually go to the library, or you can go, get your nails done if you're into that, or, go to watch a movie here. So definitely there's a little more loose restrictions here, and maybe sooner rather than later, I won't always be working at home here, and it'd definitely be nice to actually get up more here, but hopefully that also means we're getting closer to they're deeming to be safe enough that I can go to the game again, and that would definitely be great here. But at least we're still making progress here, and that's what this Calgary sports fan wants here. So what do you think about everything? At least they were hearing Flames and Stampeders on a smaller restricted group levels here. We're in the early stages of return to play here, where the Flames will jump into the play-in round against the Winnipeg Jets, and hopefully maybe win the Stanley Cup here. And I made a previous video that some NHL 20 simulations have it that we will win the Stanley Cup this year. I can dream, and it's only video games, and then the Stampeders maybe still have a season, and maybe we'll chase after the Grey Cup this season. And who knows, maybe we'll actually get to host it in terms of being the higher seeded team that's in the Grey Cup here, and maybe they'll be deemed safe enough that fans will be there, and I'll be there, and I'll celebrate just the same way. But I can dream at this point here, but it is what it is right now. So as I say, if you want to follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey, home of the Flames, Hitmen, Roughnecks, and Stampeders, just make sure you hit like, subscribe. I mostly talk Calgary sports, and most of my videos lately have also been specking on a return to play plans here, and where I feel with everything. I also do personal vlogs, attempt at comedy, and I also share my experiences, say I'm on the road or at a sporting event here. So if that all sounds like you'd be interested to watch, to follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey, you know what you need to do. I also have my other social media links down in the description below here, and I guess the other nuggets I could throw in about other return to play plans here that I feel that this week I'm not thinking there's not enough information or have enough feelings on it to make a separate video on. That I have been making videos on other leagues here. Well, the NBA is still committed to having their 22 teams return to Orlando, Florida, at the ESPN Wide World of Sports there, and play the 8 games and then see the playoffs. I haven't heard anything new about how the playoffs are going to go here. Right here, that July 30th is the date that they still plan to return here. Some players are still so on it, which you kind of expect that given the plans here. And then Major League Baseball, there still seems to be this going on between the owners and the players here that they can't decide on how many games and how to divvy up the salaries here. That I just say, come on, just figure it out. Just what that Sid Cicero rant there. That, come on, just salvage a season. Because if the NBA and the NHL get back into the limelight, spotlight here, especially in the U.S., and Major League Baseball is still doing this, that's definitely going to hurt your market share here. And they can't seem to agree on prorated salaries and the number of games here, but that's all I can give. I've heard 72 and 78 games now, but not enough for me to make a full video on, so I'll throw those at the end here. NFL football is still, way on the sidelines. They still have their full schedule, and still remains to be seen about fans in the stands, and same with the CFL here, but the CFL is definitely a lot more dependent on actual fans going to the game here. But if there's any other further developments that I feel is worthy to make a video on, you know where to watch, and I'll just give my feelings and take on it after I take a look at it and have time to make a video on it. So I gave my side on where I feel on, at least with our major Calgary teams right now in terms of returning to play here, but it is what it is. Hopefully we're just getting closer to things slowly getting somewhat back to normal here, and the sports withdrawal has definitely been a little challenging here, but been trying to get through everything as best as I can given the circumstances here. So as I say here, I'll see you in the next video here.